One thing about the Berlinale is that you have all these films premiering, and you never know who you're going to run into. There's always some sort of film star here, but that's the excitement, that's the buzz that takes over the city of Berlin for the Berlinale. Guys, it's Christian. There he is. He's going to the path. And he's right in the background, crossing over to meet the fans, see how all the press and all the fans are running behind Christian Bale here at the Berlinale.
First, I'd like to thank Dieter Koslik and all at the Berlin Film Festival. Thank you for having us here.
And that was Rishi reacting when he saw Christian Bale, and that was the exact reaction of my colleague from Uganda as well.
Right.
But I was even more excited to be invited to the premiere of Chiwetel's Ejiofor's film, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And guys, listen to me, I was in tears after. It was so such an emotional roller coaster. The film itself, if you know the story, it's a true story. And I think the audience also appreciated it because there was, I think it felt like about a 15-minute standing ovation, but the applause just went on and on and on. And I had the opportunity to meet the executive producer of the film, Andrea Calderwood, at the after party, which we'll talk about after the show. But Andrea is online via Skype from the UK, I believe. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, how are you?
I am so fine. I'm recovering after Berlin, and I want to say congratulations once again for that excellent production, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, the true story of this young boy from Malawi. Tell us about what the process was like bringing this true story to life.
Well, I'm sorry you cried, but I'm also delighted that you cried because that's really what we had in mind when we were making the film. When Chiwetel Ejiofor came to talk to us about it, about 6 years ago now, one of the first things he said was that he wanted it to be a universal story that would touch people all over the world and that it would transport people from wherever they live into this village so that they could identify with these people's lives and what happens to them. So what we've been so pleased about is that everyone that's seen it so far, and you were one of the very first audiences to see it, have had exactly that emotional reaction. They've all laughed, and then they've cried, and then there's been huge ovations and rounds of applause, which is for the film itself and for what Chiwetel's done, but it's also for William Kamkwamba, whose incredible story it is.
Yes, and what are the plans now? Would we, for example, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, get to see it on our screens? I know Netflix was part of the whole executive production of it, if I'm correct. So is it that we have to wait for Netflix, or is it going to be released to cinemas worldwide?
It's so the way that we financed it was that we worked with the BBC and the BFI here in the UK, and then with Participant in the US to put the film together. And when Netflix saw the film, they loved it, and they've now acquired the film for the world. So it'll be in selected cinemas in the UK and the US, and it'll be launched globally on Netflix on the 1st of March.
The 1st of March?
Yes.
Wow, so we're going to be looking forward to that.
Exactly. So that's why we thought it's a perfect platform for this film, because it's a global story and we want everybody all over the world to be able to connect it. That's why it's wonderful for us that it's on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit, for persons who may not be familiar with the true story, just give us a little summary of what the story is about.
William Kamkwamba's family was facing a famine in 2001 in Malawi, and he was very proud to be going to secondary school at that time. But because of the food shortages and the oncoming famine, his family couldn't afford for him to go to school anymore. But William was so determined to try and get an education and try and find a solution to his family's problems. He snuck into the school library and he found a book about creating electricity from windmills. And he figured out a way, just by using junk that he found around the family farm and in the local junkyard, he found a way to invent a windmill to generate electricity and irrigate the fields, and effectively saved his family and his community from famine.
You know, Andrea, you're speaking about it and I'm welling up again because, you know, just knowing that this was a true story, a little boy, 13 years old, saving his village, and just by inventing or coming up with a creative way of creating a windmill to generate water so that they wouldn't die off, because people were dying at that time.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what inspired Chiwetel, inspired us to tell the story, because children all over the world have potential, and it's just a matter of them having access to the opportunity to tap their potential. And the next part of William's story is just as incredible. Because of the windmill, some journalists found out about the story. He then got a scholarship to go to school in Malawi. And from there, he went to the African Leadership Academy, which is an incredible initiative in Johannesburg in South Africa. It trains future leaders from all over the African continent to move them on to the next stage in their education.
Yeah.
And William went to the African Leadership Academy, and from there he went to college in Dartmouth in the USA, and is now working on tech solutions to help Malawi and help people all over the world.
And then
he set up an innovation centre in Malawi to help young people like him to realise their dreams, but also Maxwell Simba, the young man who plays William in the film, who was just 14 when he was filming with us, he will also go to the African Leadership Academy and continue his education, which we're delighted about.
And of course, William wrote a book about his life, and this is what the film is about as well.
Yeah, so William wrote a book together with Brian Miller, and that book's captured the imagination of school kids everywhere. And it was also, he did a TED Talk, which lots of people might have seen, and which we use a little bit in the film. When he was 19, he explained the process that he went through, and over 1 million people have seen that TED Talk so far. Yeah. So what we know is that it is a story that just captures everyone's imagination, partly because he was so remarkable, but also because it's universal. It just shows you what's possible. Anything you try can be possible if you really put your mind to it, and also if you have the opportunities to help you.
Well, it was so motivating to look at, and I want to congratulate you once again. I want to know if you've recovered from the Berlinale, because it was such a fabulous event over the past 2 weeks.
It was, we loved that. That was just such a warm and fabulous ovation. That response to the film was wonderful. As you said, it went on and on. Yeah. But we're still celebrating. We're still taking the film out to people and launching it, because Chiwetel Ejiofor has done such a fantastic job in his first film as a director.
I know.
Many.
Yes.
And we've shown how talented he is behind the camera as well as in front of the camera.
Okay, well, Andrea, we're going to leave it there, but we're going to show our audience the full trailer for the film The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. But I want to thank you very much for joining us live from the UK via Skype. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks so much. Great to talk to you, and hope everyone enjoys the film.
Yes, wonderful. That's Andrea Calderwood, the executive producer of The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. 13 years old, you know, guys.
That sounds really, really interesting.
Yes, 13
I hope that it is in cinemas here, so we can get to look at it.
She was saying that it's going to be released on Netflix.
On Netflix,
on the 1st of, so it's more of a worldwide audience. But that cinematic impact, listen to me, I was like, I was so crying. It reminded me of the young boy that we interviewed for African History Month from the Democratic Republic of Congo, John Michael Kofi, who also has a similar story of triumph. But right now we have the trailer for The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. Let's check it out.
How does it feel, William? I never went to secondary school. Make us proud.
Hey, looking sharp, eh?
You too, man.
Kachokolo is not the wealthiest school in the district, but it's down to each one of you to decide your own level of commitment.
Commitment!
The rains came late this year, and now the trees have gone. Malawi is preparing for a very long, hungry season.
What are you going to do? Anything new?
It's a pump.
Can you fix it?
Maybe. Mr. Kachibunda, when you turn the wheel on your bike, the light shines. How?
It's magnets.
I can bring water. I know how to do it.
We stay, we die.
No. With electricity, we can plant in the dry season.
Anto akufa kudziwa zimenezo. Tiyalima hapo! Tiyalima hapo!
Malusiwa, adzalika liti.
Zita kutaka. Ngati mungani tandiza. Baba ndilibeza kulota.
We're just watching that trailer again. You know, I think it's just the idea of this young boy saving his village and being determined because his father was thinking, are you crazy?
Plow the land.
Yes. Huh?
He's telling him plow the
yes,
land.
Yes, because at first he was saying you have to be educated.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be like me on the land, but eventually he had to give up because they couldn't pay for education. And he said, plow the land, plow the land. But the boy was insistent, I could build this windmill.
Did I get a glimpse of a Mokojambi there as well?
Yes, I saw the Mokojambis. I got so excited. Now, let me tell you what that part, just telling little tales out of school, that was actually the other villagers coming to pay tribute to the chief when he had passed, and they came as Mokojambis. So, you see, I said, look, history, and this is a true story.
Yeah.